तो YouTube છે.
हाँ YouTube છે. हाँ Facebook पर start in माइक वगैरह कर सकते start.
तो इवन लिंक મને મોકલજો તો આ પોસ્ટ માં
हाँ કરી દઈએ. 3SRB ગ્લોબલ લાઈવ આવી ગયો આપણે. લાઈવ
તો પછી ક્યાંય બધાને આ મોકલવી પડશે લિંક
કે નહીં? લિંકની જરૂરત નથી મોકલવાની. એ પેજ પર આવી જશે. અગર જસ્ટ ઇન કેસ અગર કોઈને જોતી હોય ને તો આ મોકલી શકાય છે એવું છે.
કામ કર
હમ
કોઈ તો ગ્રુપમાં ને રેફરન્સ નંબર કે આપણે કદાચ કોઈથી મોકલે તો એને પોસ્ટમાં
એવું કરીએ.
કોઈનો
એવું કરીએ આપણે. લાઈવ વિડિયો લાઈવ અને
8 વાગે છે
8 बजे
2 મિનિટ
share in a group 3SRB global live the story of Shanideva, Saturn, and how it affects our life. And we are
લાઈવ શું કહે શનિ સોના
શું થયું લાઈટ?
સાજો
ચપકે ચપકે છે.
we are live.
શનિની વાત કર
let Rajan come.
I am just he will
ચપકે છે.
Closer
તો વાંધો હશે. ઇન્વર્ટર માંથી જ આવે.
ફેસબુક ઉપર આવી ગયું લાઈવ
हाँ આવી ગઈ ને Facebook પર live.
શું કરે?
Good done. ચાલુ થઈ ગયું. બસ બધાને this is set આવી
YouTube by થઈ ગયું.
YouTube માં થઈ ગયું અને Facebook પર થઈ ગયું. This is the visual of the live video. I've just told everyone that we'll start in 2-3 more minutes. Just નીચે જઈને એકવાર સાંભળી આવો.
Start? Oh.
It's on, huh? It's on right now.
Yeah, I'm live.
Yes, it's live.
Okay. Should I start?
If we just wait for 1 minute, we
Yeah.
just check if it's on. Right?
Do you want another pillow?
Huh? Fine. ચાલુ છે ખબર છે. નાકમાં આંગળી મત નાખો.
Do you want another pillow?
No, I'm good. Good. I'm waiting for him to give me the signal.
behind like 2-3 મિનિટ
હા
બે ત્રણ મિનિટ પાછળ છે
એવું એટલું બધું પાછળ એટલે that is because of the internet. That is because of
already 80 people is on.
શું કરે છે?
80 people are already online.
Yes.
Wow.
Let's start. Rajan.
Okay, we'll start. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to this live session. It's a long time since we met, and I'm very, very happy to be with all of you. We are all on this eternal journey together, and in this journey, we are all not separate, but we are one. I've chosen a topic today, something to do with Lord Shani and Saturn, and how the knowledge of how Saturn works in our lives can help us on our spiritual journey, in our spiritual progress. So we'll first take the story of Shanidev, and it's a very interesting story. His Shani is his complexion is black, and he was born to Chaya Devi. Now, the son, that is Surya Dev, was married to another Devi called Sandhya. Sandhya means twilight, right? And through Sandhya, the sun god had three children, out of which one was Yam, the god of death, the god of judgment, the god of death. Sandhya was looking after the sun god very faithfully, and she could not stand his intense heat. So she thought she would go somewhere, practice austerity, and train herself, her body brain system, to withstand the heat of the sun. So she doesn't know what to do, so she creates her shadow image. And the sun does not recognize that this is not his wife Sandhya. And this shadow image, her name is Chaya. Chaya means a reflection, Chaya means a shadow. So she created this woman called Chaya, and she did not reveal what she was doing to the sun god, Surya Dev. And she went into the jungles to practice austerity, to train herself to withstand his heat. And Chaya was looking after the sun god as if she was Sandhya. Again, with her, he had three children, and one of them was Shani, Saturn. Now, when Saturn was in her womb, when Shani Dev was in her womb, Chaya faithfully looked after the sun god. So much so that the scorching rays of the sun god went into her womb and made this son Shani as black. So his complexion became black. She was a devotee of Lord Shiva, and because of the vibrations of Lord Shiva going into her womb, her son Shani also became a devotee of Lord Shiva. When he was born, Shani, seeing his black complexion, his father, the Lord, the Sun, thought he was not his child. He was very angry. And in that moment, Saturn could see that Surya Dev was angry. And so for a moment, he made the sun dark. And this is what we call as an eclipse. It's very important here. So then, of course, the Lord Sun went to the god Shiva, and Shiva told him the whole story, and he accepted Shani as his son. After Shani was born, the sun's first wife Sandhya returned, and Chaya again disappeared after that. Now, there is karma which comes to us in life, and there is karma which comes to us after death. So the sun god, the sun representing consciousness, he made Yam the lord of karma after death, and he made Shani the lord of karma when we are living. So every seed we sow when we are living, good or bad, it is the planet Saturn which decides the fruit of our actions, the fruit of what we sow every moment in our life. Now, most people have a very, what you call, frightened opinion of the Saturn. And if you see on Saturdays, there are lines and lines outside Hanuman temples, because they say Hanuman once was able to have victory over the what do you call over Saturn, over Shanidev, and so people propitiate Hanuman, hoping that the bad effects of Saturn don't come in their lives, because Saturn looks after karma. So let us try to understand what all this means. My teacher, Mr. Tavaria, he used to say that Saturn is a taskmaster. And for anyone who wants to walk on the spiritual path, they have to make Saturn a friend. They have to voluntarily take the suffering he brings in their lives, and they have to use that suffering to rise into a higher state of consciousness. Now we've seen that Sandhya represents the twilight. So twilight is that state before the sun has risen in the morning. There is the state of twilight. So the darkness is going to get over and the light is going to come. And again in the evening, there's a twilight when the sun is about to set, and the light is going to get over and darkness is going to set in. So twilight is that state within us where we can choose either like light or darkness. And Sandhya represents that twilight. And in that she made a choice where she created Chaya, her duplicate. Now, this Chaya could not be, the sun did not know that his wife had been replaced. So there was an obscuring of light over here, an obscuring of consciousness. And so, what is this obscuring of consciousness? Whenever anything is put in the path of light, any object is put in it creates a shadow. So shadow is the beginning of form. And so we have three things over here. We have light as consciousness, we have darkness, and we have a shadow. And shadow is in between light and darkness. Now, even though the part which is in shadow is in darkness, the very fact that there is a shadow implies light. So there is an implication of light, and this is very important on the spiritual journey, that when you see the shadow inside of you, you know light is just round the corner. Light is formless. So is darkness. Darkness does not infer light, but shadow infers light, and shadow has a form. Now, a human being, in a human being, three things come together. One is light, or one is life, Life is light from the sun. One is form from the planets, and one is material from the earth. So, form is created by shadow, right? And this is important. So, the light of the sun falls on something, it creates a shadow, and shadow creates form. And this is a subtle form. And this subtle form seeks material. That is, material comes with color, right? And the earth is material. So again, we'll try to understand this in another way. So we have seen that the absence of light or darkness has no form, but the obscuring of light gives rise to form. Now, form seeks manifestation. Let us try to understand this. That supposing I want to build a house, I have a form of that house in my mind. I have not yet built the house. When I fill cement and concrete in that form, right, then my house is built. That material called cement and concrete comes from the earth. Similarly, our soul has a form. Our spirit has light. The Atma is light. The soul has form. And that form is due to something which we are going to see now. And that form is looking for expression, looking for a mother and father. And when it gets a mother and father, it gets material called DNA to fill up the form, and a new child is born. I don't know if I'm able to come across this. So the spirit, the Atma, is light, and that light falls on something. And that which it falls on is what in the Shastras call as sanskar. So the light falling on sanskar and passing through sanskar, when it comes out on the other side, a soul is formed, and that soul is what wants to take birth. So all forms, everything in the universe is a play of these three things: light as consciousness, light as presence, darkness as absence of light, and the middle, the shadow, created by the light when it moves, when it is obstructed by something. And what do you call the play of these three creates all the colors, all the forms, everything we see in life. So everything is a play of light, darkness, and shadow. Now, so when we understand this, we understand Saturn as a shadowy planet, as a dark planet. Now, what is the form which makes the soul? Supposing we say that every thought we have, every feeling we have, every sensation we have is form. Your live video has ended. Huh?
Facebook पर network problem आ रही है. YouTube पर it's there.
It's on there on YouTube. Okay.
Yes.
So what do I do?
One second, we'll just if you could just post, there's some issues. We'll just post. I just post the. Please continue. I'll post the YouTube link on this, and then we can YouTube we can ask people to come.
Okay, there's some issue over here.
Yes. So YouTube is on.
Okay.
YouTube is on.
Sorry, the Facebook link has stopped. Everybody will have to come onto YouTube.
We are messaging the link on the chat. Yes.
Now, every thought we have, every feeling, every sensation, every movement is the blocking of light. So it creates a form. There is a shadow. And after every thought, when that shadow gets over, when the thought is over, there is a residue of that thought. And that residue, it hangs on to the soul as what do you call seed for future repetition. And this is the meaning of the seed of karma. And it is Shani, the god, which decides whether what kind of repetition there will be, how much time it will take, and uh, what will be the fruit of that repetition. Let us take this in another way. That every moment, with every thought, feeling, and sensation, I what do you call have a inner label of like or dislike. And this like or dislike creates the seed for future repetition. That is, if it is like, I want it again in my life. And if it is dislike, I don't want it to come again in my life. And it is this which is the seed of karma. I don't know if I'm able to come across it. We're coming across this? Yeah. So let us try to understand this in a different way. I'm trying to give you a new perspective on things today. Yeah. That every thought, every feeling, every sensation is a shadow, and that shadow creates a form. That form has a residue that is like or dislike, which is the seed for future repetition. And this whole process of repetition is governed by the planet called Saturn, by Shanideva, because he's the lord of the shadow, he's the lord of the form. Now I don't know whether I'll be. Is it clearer now? Right? Okay. So every moment, some residue is left on the soul, like, dislike, wanting, not wanting, good or bad. Now, can you see that when we die, the soul takes all these residues? So the soul, which is the light of the Atma, is covered in this residue. So the light moves through this residue, wanting to again take birth, create form again. So unless we can observe this consciously, unless through a process of self-observation, we slowly get free of the residue, only then can we be free of karma, only then can we be free of the bond of Saturn, the bond of Shani in our life. I don't know whether I've been able to say this. So this conscious effort is self-observation. And it is through self-observation and self-remembering that we become free from this bondage. So every thought is a shadow. Where there's a shadow, there has to be light. And where there is light, there has to be a source of light. And this is how we progress on our journey. We observe the thought, we free ourselves from the thought, and we sense the light which went into the thought. And then we understand where the light came from. And in that, we merge back into the original light. Our state of consciousness rises up to the state of consciousness of the inner spirit. Now, wherever there is form in life, wherever there is shadow in life, there is duality. Shadow is of two kinds, golden shadows and dark shadows. So all thoughts, all feelings, all sensations are created because light is obstructed through sanskar, and they are forms, they are shadows, right? And we've seen that shadows imply light, but shadows are of two kinds, Devi and Asuri, golden and dark. Those that thoughts, those feelings which help us return to the inner light, rise in a state of consciousness, are called golden shadows. Those that take us away from the state of consciousness into more darkness, into more sleep of life, into a deeper level of identification, those are called as dark shadows. And all black magic is a play of dark shadows. So we have seen form gives rise to duality. And when we move into light, light is formless, and in that we are free of duality. So what are the dark shadows? Those dark shadows are impulses which come into our body-brain system and take us into a deeper state of identification where we run after more and more money, more and more fame, more and more power, a continuous indulgence of the senses, and where we live negative emotions most of the time, wrong habits most of the time. These are the dark shadows. And then impulses which lead us to a higher state of consciousness are golden shadows. That could be right knowledge, right practices, right understanding. Now, in a different way, because when we are talking about karma, a golden shadow creates a certain karma and a dark shadow creates another kind of karma. But we are on the path of rising in consciousness. And what we know is that even a golden shadow has a source of light, and even a dark shadow has a source of light. And our interest is not in the shadow, whether golden or dark. Our interest is to go to that source of light, to feel that source of light. And this is what we do in the process of self-observation. Now, our psychic structure, our psychology, it has two sides, a side of light, a side of darkness. And the side of darkness, which is also called our shadow, our alter ego, or the shadow, is much bigger than the side of light. So in another way, we can say we have a dark part in our psychic structure and we have a part which is full of light. So we have a lower psychic structure and a higher psychic structure. Our dark part is where all our primitive impulses lie, whether they are sexual, insecurity, violence, aggression. All this lives in our dark part. When any like or dislike connects to our dark part, these things come out. So supposing I go to a store and I say I like this, and if it connects to my dark part, then the aggressiveness which is lying in my dark psychic side, which normally I cannot see, it comes and connects to that desire of liking, to that liking. And I say, I really want this thing. I can't live without this thing. The aggressiveness connects, the animal side connects, the primitive side connects. Now, in wanting it could connect, but in most negative emotions, it always connects. When I'm angry with someone, and when I'm irritated with someone, when I'm jealous of someone, the dark side connects. And there is so much of aggressiveness in my anger, in my irritation, in my jealousy. The aggressiveness comes from that dark part. Now, once we realize we have a shadow and we have so many things lying within us which we don't know about, we now work on ourselves to bring consciousness in that part of ourselves which is totally in darkness. Now, many things in life we are not willing to accept as we live life. And it is these things which we keep on throwing into the dark part, which we don't want to see that part of ourselves. Supposing somebody calls me, I'm a very selfish person, and this hurts me, and I say, I'm not a selfish person. I'm a good person. I donate so much, I do so many things. So immediately that selfishness which is lying within me, which I am actually, but I cannot see myself as selfishness, I throw into my dark side. And like this, so many things I throw into my dark side. So we have a huge dark side within us, and this is totally ruled by Saturn. And we have to bring light into this dark side. We have to work on this dark side to bring light in. And that is done through this process of self-observation. Sometimes there is a sudden experience of light in our lives. And this is when we get some new idea or new thought which we have not had till now. But the minute we identify with that thought and say, oh, this is my thought, I thought of this thing, then the light goes away, it becomes a part of our ego, and the shadow takes over. So here again, we become victims of Saturn again. Now, this inner dark side which we have, till now we have seen that there is so much of negativity lying in there, so much of aggressiveness and primitiveness. But there's a lot of possibilities also lying over there. Possibilities which can take us to a higher state of consciousness. Many things which we have powers within ourselves which we don't know, but once we can awaken that dark side, those powers start manifesting in our lives. So let us try to see this process. That I react with somebody, I get angry with somebody, right? And that reaction contains a sort of light inside of it, which is the light of the soul, because that reaction has seduced my attention. Somebody insults me, my attention gets caught by him. The light of attention gets caught by him. And Saturn is the planet which creates the form. We saw that planets create form. And Saturn is the planet which creates the form, which puts that light in the capsule of anger and throws it into my unconscious mind, into my dark side. Again, I get angry. Again, it does that. And slowly, I gather so many of these capsules in my dark side. Now, the next time if I get angry, if I'm conscious of being angry, and I separate from it, I don't allow it to manifest, then Saturn can't do anything. It can't create a new capsule, and the old capsule burns out. And this is how Saturn dominates our lives. Now, we have to also understand another thing, is that our experience of time is dominated a lot by Saturn. Supposing I have a pattern of anger within me, a capsule of anger within me, that anger wants to manifest in a certain amount of time. It is going to make me angry in a certain amount of time. And it is this force of Saturn which makes we create that time where this anger can manifest again. It gives life to that anger. So I just today wanted to talk about a few of these things, that the story of Saturn, how Saturn is our shadowy self, how that shadowy self controls everything in our life. Gurdjieff calls this as mechanicalness, and how it makes us a victim to sanskar or patterns, and how through self observation we can free ourselves from it. Now, I want to talk about this how we can meditate a little on these shadowy aspects. And the first we have talked about is self-observation. We'll talk about that some other day again, how the process of self-observation. But if we can observe the working of Saturn, the minute we throw the light of attention on Saturn, it loses its power to control us. That is, that sanskar, that binding pattern cannot work. And then it helps the soul to grow. Once we are free of its what you call negative power, it helps the soul to grow in consciousness. But for this, it sometimes creates certain obstacles in our path. Now, the two meditations which I want to teach you today about Saturn, about this the inner shadowy thing. The first is we will do at sunset, right? We will look at the sun setting for 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes before the sun sets. And we will not blink our eyes in those 10 minutes. And it's a kind of tratak where we look at the sun. And the minute the sun sets, we will turn our heads around and look at the sky at an angle of about 30 to 40 degrees up in the sky behind us. Now, if you've done the meditation properly, you will slowly see yourself as a shadow in the sky. And this shadow in the sky will give you a kind of perception of all the negativities which are lying in your unconscious self. You have to continue this for a few months. Slowly, you will see the change in the shadow as you rise in consciousness. As you start working on yourself, you will start seeing the change in this shadow. Over a period of time, this shadow will start talking to you. Not talking in the sense that I'm talking, but it will give you certain indications that illness is going to come or something very negative is about to happen. And it will tell you when you're going to die 6 months before your death. So this is the first meditation we are going to do on the shadow. And that is, we'll look at the sunset for 10 minutes every day before the sun sets, the last 10 minutes. We won't blink our eyes. And when the sunset is over, we look up in the sky. And over a period of time, we will see our shadow. So what we are trying to say about our dark side, which is hidden in our subconscious and unconscious minds, we will be able to see that on the screen of the sky. We will be able to read it, and we'll be able to see many things in it. Now, one more meditation before we finish today, but there's just one thing which I have to add. Is that when we project something on someone, it is always our dark side talking. If I call somebody, he's an angry person, then it is, I'm not talking about him, I'm talking about my dark side. And it is when I feel that somebody is insulting me, when I feel somebody is making me angry, or somebody, I'm feeling jealous about someone, it is at that moment which I try to look within, where is that thing lying within me? It's going to be very difficult, but over a period of time, you will see that everything that you project on somebody else, right? lies within our dark side. And once we realize this, we realize in life that it can never be anybody else's fault. Whatever happens in our life can only happen because somewhere we have sown a seed, sown a shadow, and that seed, Saturn is moving in a certain way uh, and creating the karma for us. Now, I want to give you one more meditation which Mr. Tawaria gave, but before that, I'll just this is what we call as vowding. When I talked about the planets, I talked about this, and you have to. It's Embelia ribes. It's called false pepper, and you take 5 seeds every day. Like this. You take 5 seeds every day of this. What do you call 5 seeds? Right? Okay, 5 seeds, and you swallow it with water early in the morning, and it will help you to overcome many of the negative effects of Saturn. And if you can't do it every day, please do it on a Saturday at least, right? So it'll help to get rid of many of the negative effects of Saturn. Now, we have seen that Sandhya, the first wife of the sun god, is what we call as twilight, where the state of light changes to the state of darkness, and the state of darkness to the state of light. So we're going to take Mr. Tawaria's meditation to do in this state, and that is what he calls as Om Satyam Param Dhimahi. Now, doing this meditation, we have to wait till we start feeling sleepy at night. And when we are a little sleepy, say we are 30% sleepy and 70% awake, we start repeating inside within ourselves, Om Satyam Param Dhimahi. Om, I want to see the truth, the absolute truth, Param Satyam, and I meditate on that absolute truth. And that absolute truth is light. And in that gap, in that Sandhya, before going to sleep, just as I'm going to sleep, I make a proper choice of seeing the light, and I'll experience that light in my life. And this will be a very divine experience, which will throw me up on the ladder of consciousness many steps very, very quickly. I can again repeat this meditation in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, don't wake up fully. Try to remain in the half awake state. It's a beautiful state to be in, the half awake state. I usually go back into that state in the morning, every morning, and try to remain in that state for some time. So try to go into that half awake state and again start repeating this mantra for 2 or 3 minutes. Don't say it for more than 3 minutes, 3 minutes at night, 3 minutes in the morning. Om Satyam Param Dhimahi. I want to see the truth. I meditate upon the truth and the absolute truth, Param Satyam. And over a period of time, something will manifest in that space, in that inner space, where it is not yet day and where night is not yet over. Somewhere in between, that night is over and day has not happened. Something will manifest in that space, and I'll be able to experience something. So we'll do this meditation every day, night and every morning. This is our Sandhya meditation. The Brahmins used to do Sandhya. This is our Sandhya meditation, and we'll do it every morning and night. Now, if anybody, we still have 20 minutes. So if somebody wants to ask questions, then I'll answer the questions. Please type your questions. They type the questions?
Yeah, you can type the questions in the comments.
There's no one typing over here.
Here. These are the comments that have come.
No, I can't see.
All of them. No.
There are no questions. So nobody has any
Not yet.
questions. Please summarize. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
20 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, because I have to revise the whole thing. So he's a good taskmaster. I meet Saturn on the screen, Uh, so what I said, that we have an inner dark self, a shadowy self, which we are not conscious about and which we want to make conscious, and that is ruled by Saturn. That is what I said. And if we want to be free of suffering in life, we have to bring a light into that dark self. And Saturn is the Lord which brings obstacles in life, not for us to suffer, but for us to rise in consciousness. But instead of rising in consciousness, what we suffer the obstacles. So what I said is that inner self, which is dark, can come into light through a process of self-observation, and through self-observation we take light into that inner darkness, in that we are free of the negative effects of Saturn, and we are free of Saturn bringing suffering in our life. What is the next question?
What are the seeds that you told about?
These seeds.
It would be Kali Mirch.
No, it's not Kali Mirch. These are the seeds. These are the seeds. I don't know how to. These are the seeds. They are called as vowding. And you see this one over here, right? It's called as wow. In English, it is called as false pepper. And if you just take 5 of these every morning with water, a lot of suffering which is going to come to you will not come, right? Okay, next question. You better
repeat meditation method, please.
The what?
Meditation method.
Which one? The second one or the first one?
Repeat meditation method.
Can you please guide us on what is the connection of a Hanuman with Saturn? Yeah, Saturn, one day he lost his, he became mad, right? And so the sun god could not tame his son, so he asked Hanuman, and Hanuman tamed him. So that is the connection of Hanuman with Saturn, right? So what is the connection with breath? Han means to kill. Man means mati, the buddhi to kill your inner enemies. And all those inner enemies lie in our dark side, right? So one of the ways to and we have seen that when we rise above the dark side, we bring light in our dark side, we are free of the binding of Saturn. So that is Hanuman, the intelligence to kill the enemies which are lying in our dark side, right? That's the connection. Okay, what's the next question?
The second method. Repeating the meditation. The second meditation method.
The second one or the first one?
The second one. The second meditation method.
Okay, in the night when you're just on the verge of feeling sleepy, don't just go to sleep. Recite Mr. Tawaria's mantra, Om Satyam Param Dhimai. I want the truth and only the absolute truth. I meditate on that absolute. Dhimai means to meditate, right? So somebody has asked about the Hanuman Chalisa. I'll take the Hanuman Chalisa one day. We'll go line by line what it means and how to use it in our lives, right? The understanding of the Hanuman Chalisa is very important, not just the reciting, right? Okay.
Is Shani related to karma?
1 minute. And again, you do the same thing in the morning when you're waking up in the morning, right? Don't wake up completely. Remain in a half sleep state and again recite the mantra for 2-3 minutes, right?
Is Shani related to karma?
That I told in the beginning that Shani is related to karma in the sense that Shani decides the time we have to go through the karma. Shani decides the fruit of the karma. And Shani is the lord of the law of karma. Right? Okay.
Then is, at what age can you give a small child the vomiting seeds?
Well, I suppose at any age, seven, don't take 5, take 2 or 3 and give it to a 7, 8, 9, 10, anytime.
7, 8.
Hmm.
What are the implications of Sade Shakti of Saturn called in astrology? What are remedies?
Saraswati is when your moon sign, Saturn comes in the 12th house before your moon sign, one place before your moon sign. 2.5 years, Saturn stays in one house. Then in 2.5 years, it comes in your moon sign. And 2.5 years, one place after your moon sign. Those 7.5 years, excellent period to do inner work, excellent period to rise in consciousness, excellent period to be free of the what you call indulgences of life and to understand your inner true self. Right. What else?
If somebody sleeps late at night, can they recite the Om Satyam Param?
Not between 12 and 4. So try to sleep before 12 o'clock. So if do I have to repeat the question or no? It's okay.
Then I think there's some questions of the first meditation method. If you could just repeat the first meditation method. There are 2, 3 questions. It's difficult to look without blinking for 10 minutes. That's the first question.
No, if you don't force yourself, if it's difficult to look at the sun for 10 minutes without blinking, then blink a little and again look at the sun. Right? Don't blink too much, otherwise the sun may do something we don't know what it will do. Huh? But right, blink a little at the sun and continue looking, and then look up in the sky. Try to see your shadow self. The shadow self manifests in the sky, and it is a beautiful meditation.
There's a question about the Shani Mahadasha. What about Shani Mahadasha?
Shani Mahadasha, same thing. Shani creates obstacles to rise in consciousness. Beautiful Mahadasha. Beautiful Mahadasha. Right.
The other question is 5 seeds for how much time you take?
1 minute 1, 1 minute 2.
How many days should you take those 5 seeds?
As long as you want to be free of suffering. Once you start to enjoy suffering, don't take the seeds. If you want to avoid useless suffering in your life, take the seeds every day. Right? What? Yeah, it's true.
One more question.
Yeah. If somebody's Saturn is debilitated, your seeds will help a lot. Or some other remedy also. Learn to make involuntary suffering voluntary. That is the best remedy to work with Saturn. Any suffering which comes in our life, accept it with grace. From involuntary, make it voluntary. You will be free of all the bondage of karma and Saturn. Just a simple remedy. Yeah.
Some people have a powerful Saturn. Would that mean that they have less of dark side?
Good question.
Some people have a powerful Saturn. Would that mean, and by powerful it could either be...
If somebody has a powerful Saturn in his horoscope, it does not mean he'll have less of the dark side, but definitely working with the dark side will be much easier for him. Right? It has to be Varun Bandari only asking that question.
Is it? Are you serious?
Right. Anything else? Greg has asked, should one make decisions based on the predictions of astrologers? If they say something unpleasant is going to happen by doing something, should one take that advice? First of all, I don't, go to astrologers who make predictions. My reading of astrology is that it just tells us what kind of impulses, what kind of events we can expect in the next year or the next 6 months, and how we can prepare consciously for those events, how we can make use of astrology to rise in consciousness. So I don't really I don't have a very positive outlook for predictions. I have a very positive outlook. If somebody comes and tell me, be careful the next 6 months, be a little on your guard, and then I'm a little on my guard. I know that I may expect something negative in the next 6 months. Something could happen, and I'm ready for it, and I don't become negative or I don't react when it happens. That is how we use astrology. Saturn is our subconscious. No, it is not the programming. The programming is due to what we call magnetism. It is the magnetism of Saturn which rules our subconscious programming. It rules it. Can first meditation be done in the morning again? This meditation was taught to me by Swami Ramdulare Bapu. He taught me in the evening, and I've stuck to that. I suppose you could do it in the morning. I've never done it personally in the morning, but I suppose you could do it in the morning. Please confirm it's false black pepper. It is false pepper. It is Embellia ribes. That is the Latin name of it. Will there be an effect on Saturn after a change in position of Jupiter yesterday? Every moment the effects keep on changing. Please rise in consciousness, right? Learn to use effects properly. Learn to use effects, this thing. Even if Jupiter changes and its effect is positive and you don't know how to use it, what is the point? It has no point. The only way to use the right effect of Jupiter is to rise in consciousness. Again, Jaspal Singh has asked the same question, why the meditation only at sunset? And I've already answered that question. Yeah. Okay, any more questions anyone has? I think that's it. Somebody has asked, how does looking at the sunset cause a reflection to happen behind you? Wow. Right. So you're looking at the sunset because you can't look at the sun directly. You can only look at the setting sun. And you're allowing light to filter somewhere in through your eyes, into your, and this creates a certain shadow for a certain period of time, which you can see against the background of a clear sky. And it is the reading of this shadow which will, it is a kind of a barometer. It tells you where you are, what is possible for you, what is not possible. And that is the thing. So it is the light of the sun which is creating it. Somebody has asked, 3SRB itself is now not more than sufficient. Yeah, over a longer period of time, everything will come with 3SRB, but then you should have the patience to wait that long time.
Questions, Sahib talked about Saturn Jupiter pair channel in dark edition. Please say something about it.
What?
Sahib talked about Saturn Jupiter pair channel in dark edition.
Which? What is it talking about?
Might be some typo.
No, I have not understood Saturn. Somebody has asked, can a 9-year-old child chant the mantra at night? Very good, but don't force him if he wants to chant it on his own. Okay, I think all the questions have come.
Mostly have come. Can Saturn cause fear in you? Does it govern fear too?
Saturn creates obstacles, and those obstacles are for us to rise in consciousness. If we are frightened of obstacles, then we are in fear. But if we learn to accept obstacles, if we learn to make involuntary suffering voluntary, then where is the fear? Then we rise above fear. Why do you want to get caught up in fear? People who have too many desires, they always live in fear. People who feel that their desires in life are not going to be fulfilled, they live in fear. But once you know that there is a state beyond desire, where you look down at desire, where you can have freedom from desire, then you are never fearful. Desire and fear go together. I'm always frightened. My desire is not going to be fulfilled. Right? And we keep on desiring every moment. Learn to watch your desires. Learn to rise above your desires. And then fear will vanish of its own. Anything else? So hopefully we'll meet again next Sunday, no? Next Sunday. Same time. I won't take such a hard topic. I'll try to take an easy topic, right? This just came to me in a sort of flash of a moment. I was trying to understand it, but I'll try to take something easy next week. Thanks again for joining in, and hope the week goes well for you. Bye-bye. Good night.